Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today's build is the Smite casting dual wielding Void Knight, and this is going to be the best Smite build you're ever going to play. That manually cast Smite. We're not going to be using shield throw and idols to proc it. We're going to be manually casting it. We're going to have incredible cast speed, and the main thing of why it's going to do so much damage is thanks to Kissing Aura. We found that Smite can cast, even if you convert it to Void Smite, can cast 6 lightning bolts, which will cast out and hit nearby enemies, or on single target, all of those hits will apply to the same enemy, and those hits will all apply your future strikes or apply any ailment that you have. So we're going to be doing a hybrid build that's going to do good, decent hit damage. We'll have really close to 100% crit, and then at the same time, we're going to have a massive amount of future strikes and have some void damage over time going as well. So it's going to be doing massive amount of damage up front and a massive amount of void damage over time. On top of that, we have such good leech with void damage that we're going to be leeching a lot of that, and that's going to help keep us alive. So even without maxed out resistances, you can still do all of the content in the game. I pushed 100 waves in the arena. It could definitely go further. It's not the tankiest thing in the world, but it is viable to get you through as much content as you want to do, and it's very fun. You get quick, clean kills. You're going to just smite around, lunge around, attack things from range, lunge to the next target, kill more things from range. You're going to have your Devouring Orbs going off, attacking things from range, and they're going to have their Void Rifts that are summoned every time you kill something, so those are going to be going off. So you're going to have just a screen full of purple and lightning going off everywhere. It looks cool, it's fun to play, and let's go ahead and get into the skills. For skills, we're running Smite, Volatile Reversal, Devouring Orb, Anomaly, and Lunge. For Smite, we have 1 point in Holy Wave, 3 points in Righteous Fury, 5 points in Righteous Flurry, and that's for the 50% increased attack speed every time that you cast it for the next 4 seconds. Since you'll always be casting it, you're going to always have that buff, and it is a huge buff. We have 2 points in Blinding Flash, 1 point in Order of Lagan. Now, even though you've converted this spell to Void in the passive trees, when you convert to lightning here, you won't get the lightning. However, the extra lightning bolts you will get from the Unbalanced Scale and the 3 points in Wandering Bolts. Now you'll have 6 additional lightning bolts that jump out, so you'll cast Smite, Smite comes down and hits the target, and 6 lightning bolts jump out. Those 6 lightning bolts can hit the same target, so if there's no other enemies around, they'll all hit that same target. They'll apply the shock, they'll apply your ailments, they'll apply future strikes, and you'll get a lot of additional damage from that. And then 4 points in Charged Hand for the 80% shock chance and the 80% shock effect. For Volatile Reversal, now this skill is interchangeable with other skills depending on what you plan on doing. If you plan on doing monolith bosses and the arena, I recommend keeping it, as it can definitely improve the amount of damage output that you can do due to increasing your cast speed and a little bit of survivability, since you can use it to move out of a very deadly area. If, however, you just plan on running echoes, I would strongly recommend switching to something else, such as Sigils for more damage, or Shield Rush for more movement to get through. You could do Ring of Shields, you could do something else other than this skill, because in the echoes, when it keeps taking you backwards and reversing, you know, how far forward you're going, it's not the most ideal skill. But with this setup, which is for arena or for bosses, we have 2 points in Time Sap, 3 points in Warped Time. This 30% increased cast speed you get lasts for as long as the duration that you went back in time. The normal duration you go back in time is 2 seconds. With 2 points in Ancient Reversal, you now go back in time 4 seconds. So your 30-second buff lasts for 4 seconds. The cooldown on the skill is 2.4 seconds, which means that you can have more than 1 stack of this buff. Yes, it does stack, and since your cooldown is reduced per kill that you have, there's a chance to even reduce this cooldown even much shorter, and you can get multiple stacks, so you can get 30, 60, 90, even 120% increased cast speed if there's enough mobs around, because you'll basically turn it into an insta-cast skill if you kill more than 30 or 40 mobs in a very short amount of time. We have 3 points in Catching Up for increased movement speed as well. This also does stack, so a couple of stacks of this and you're going to be zippity zipping. We got 1 point in Time Lost Vitality, 2 points in Traveler's Fatigue, 1 point in Time Lost Wisdom, 1 point in Terminal Void Rift, 3 points in Dark Expanse, and 2 points in Harbinger of Dust. For Devouring Orb, now Devouring Orb a lot of people complain about because when you're trying to move around, this cannot be turned into an instacast, and therefore it stops you in your movement in your tracks for just a split second while you cast it. Now, since we have such incredible cast speed, it's almost unnoticeable how long you're actually stopped. It's just a fraction of the second. So you can cast more of them by taking the reduced duration and then reducing the cooldown. However, when you do that, you get a lot more stutter steps because you're going to be stopping a lot more casted. So I didn't want to take that route, so we're not going to have the maximum amount of orbs that you could get. However, we're still going to have a lot of them, especially since the skill can echo and give you an extra one. And we went with maximum duration so that they last for as long as possible, which also lets you stack more of them up. We have 2 points in Void Adept, 1 point in Holy Orb. This gives you 50% increased duration, so they now last for 15 seconds. 1 point in Abyssal Emission, so that every 3 seconds it will cast an Abyssal Orb. So now you have the Devouring Orb, which will be spinning around you and can hit enemies, and it will be casting Abyssal Orb, which is another spell that can also hit on top of everything else that you have hitting. And with 8 points in Dark Torrent, we increase the frequency by 240%, which puts it somewhere around 1 second cast time. So it's going to constantly be having 5-6 orbs, so you're going to get 5 or 6 extra hits from the Abyssal Orb that are casting every second. 1 point in Dark Moon makes it orbit around you. This will increase the mana cost. However, we are putting into some of the mana efficiency. We have 2 points in Abyssal Rush for the move speed, 1 point in Cosmic Impact, and then with 4 points in Sightless Star, you get that 120% mana efficiency and 28% more cast speed, which makes it cheap enough that you can put it on auto cast and have it always going off and not worry about mana. And at the same time, that cast speed the increase that you get basically makes it almost unnoticeable when you do your little stutter step while you do it on the move. For Anomaly, now there are a few ways to do Anomaly. I wanted to try something new with it. However, I would recommend switching this one up and going for more Leech if you have any sort of survivability problems. But the new way that I went was 2 points in Emission, 2 points in Anticipation, 1 point in Reflection, and 5 points in Resonate. Now, what Resonate does is it gives Future Strike applied by Anomaly is more effective, 400% more effective, which is very effective. Now, if you've played Lightning Blast with Spark Charges and Spark Nova with Elemental Nova, you know that the Spark effect inside of Lightning Blast tree, which isn't supposed to apply globally, applies to Spark Charges applied by other skills as well, and it almost triples their damage. Well, I took this in hopes that this 400% effect would increase all Future Strike damage from all places that you hit with it. I didn't notice a big change, so I don't think it actually works. So feel free to change these points out unless you do notice a change. I didn't notice 5 times the damage output, so I don't think it got that crazy, because that's what it would be if this was actually working. However, if you do notice a change, I'd keep it. It's definitely going to keep your DPS high. If you don't notice, definitely put these points up into the Void Leech, so put your 4 points into Time Eater and 4 points into Void Maul. I have 1 point in Void Touched, 1 point in Immediacy, 1 point in Manipulation, 1 point in Time Bubble, 4 points in Temporal Mastery, 1 point in Time Lord, and 1 point in Lingering Memory. Also, since you do have a total of 10 points here, after you put the 8 points here, you can put 2 points into Critical Strike Chance, which is going to help get you to that 100% crit with everything that you do. For Lunge, we have the usual setup with this, the entire right side, with 3 points in Tactician, 4 points in Forge On, 1 point in Unstoppable, 1 point in Initiative, 5 points in Avenger's Charge, 1 point in Brigade, 1 point in Deadly Aim. If you like extra charges, definitely take this point out and put it into Double Strike, and the last 4 points are into the Fray. For passives, I have 30 points in the Sentinel base class, with 8 points in Fearless, 5 points in Armor Clad, 6 points in Relentless, 5 points in Time and Faith, 1 point in Gladiator, and 5 points in Blade Master, 0 points in the Paladin, 0 points in the Forge Guard, and 81 points in the Void Knight. 5 points in Temporal Corruption, 7 points in Sorrow and Steel, 1 point in Void Corruption, 8 points in Void Bolts, 8 points in World Eater, 10 points in Future Strikes, 10 points in Umbral Attunement, 1 point in Eternal Form, 5 points in Echoing Strikes, 10 points in Time Legion, 1 point in Avatar of Regret, and 15 points in Dread. For items and idols, what we have is on the bottom I have a 1x4 for the increased damage by echo damage, so that when your echo comes and it does smite casting, that smite hit will do some extra damage. And then we're also running smite idols that give you increased damage with smite. This one has increased fire damage over time. On the bottom for the suffix, you can basically do anything you want. The most important thing is just get percent increased damage with smite as the suffix, or as the prefix. For our weapons, we have one unique. We are wearing the Blade of the Forgotten Knight sword on the offhand to increase our void spell damage, and it gives you an increase of void damage. It also gives you haste on second on hit, so that you'll always have haste going, and it gives you 10% more cast speed, which means it's a little bit faster. On the primary hand, we're running a Ruined Dagger, and the reason for the Ruined Dagger instead of a scepter or instead of something that has a lot of adaptive spell damage is because you get the critical strike chance base, and this 4% boost is huge. It also comes with adaptive spell damage, so it's not all bad. And then on it I have cast speed, critical strike multiplier, chance to shred armor on hit, and chance to shock on hit. For the chest, I have a Shadow Plate, which has Attunement, Vitality, increased void damage over time, and increased echo damage when a skill echoes. And for the helm, I have a Shadow Helm with set physical, set necrotic, void damage over time, and plus mana gained on smite use. Now, the plus physical and plus necrotic are low tiers, so if you, we're not capped on resistance on this build. If you want to be capped on resistance, you can definitely improve these by getting T5, T4R by throwing on another set of fix on one more piece will put you to where you need to go. For the brass amulet, got void penetration, increased void damage, health, and chance to shock on hit. For the rings, have set necrotic, increased damage over time, health, and elemental. And as you can see, these are tier 4s, tier 3s, tier 5. We're not super high on the end, but we did some gambling to make sure that we could get these. And then we have set fizz, set necrotic, increased health and hybrid health on the belt. For the other ring, set physical, increased void damage, elemental, and health. For the gloves, increased cast speed, set necrotic, hybrid health, elemental health. And for the boots, Attunement, Vitality, Hybrid Health, increased movement speed. And for the relic, set fizz, increased cast speed, elemental resistance, and additional health. For the character sheet, as you can see, we only have 15% damage reduction of armor on hits. We're not capped on our resistances. We still need some more void, physical, and elemental. Our damages sit pretty high. We do have 471% void damage. We have over 300% critical strike multiplier, so that's why the crits are doing really good damage. We have some movement speed. It's not great, but it's not bad. And remember, with the reversal, look at that, we're already up to 112 when we reversal around. Even higher if you do it close enough together. You can get to 150% move speed, no problem. Our cast speed's 103, but also remember on that, when you actually use Smite and when you actually reversal, you can get over 200% cast speed relatively easy as well. And then for the way to set this build up, I like to put Lunge, Anomaly, and Devouring Orb all on auto cast, and then I will manually cast Volatile Reversal whenever I need it, and then all you have to do is just smite the enemy. And your smite crits can get to 30, 40, 50k, so they can hit really hard against the training dummy. And then as you can see here, just a massive amount of hits are going on. Like, the numbers are just flying. You're doing decent damage, and as you'll see in the gameplay, we annihilated all the bosses. They're not the fastest killing builds in the game, but they definitely clear quick. And once you start throwing some Volatile Reversal here and I get the extra cast speed, you can just see those numbers are just crazy. Like, you're getting so many hits so fast. You're applying so many stacks of shock, so many future strikes. You have to remember that even though we're getting this many hits, future strikes are going off every, I think it's 1 or 2 seconds after they hit. They're going off again, so you're actually getting double the amount of hits here. It is just crazy how much you can get going with this. Alright, let's go ahead, and as you see as I run away, we're still getting all of those hits, all of it's still going. It's just crazy. Alright, let's go ahead and get into some more gameplay.